Good afternoon, everyone. This is first appearance court, and we have two on the hearing docket. We only have one. All right, so we have two dockets this afternoon. We will start with the first appearance docket. And for those of you who are here for first appearance, I'll let you know if I've determined probable cause from the police reports I've read, and then we will also talk about release conditions. That is the purpose of today's hearing. Moving forward, any pretrial motions, or if you subsequently go to trial, that will be heard by your division judge. Okay, he was the last one on the docket.
Yeah.
All right, so we had one that was reset from yesterday. He's at North Broward.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so can we address Larry King?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Padowitz. He could not be here this afternoon. He has depositions. He did request, though, if the court be inclined to waive reading. Mr. King was arraigned by Judge Duffy this morning. He is aware, I believe, of the charges that are
Okay.
pending.
Okay,
That being said, I also spoke with Mr. Padowitz about the first appearance since he couldn't be here.
Okay.
At this point, he's standing mute about proof evident or presumption great, with an understanding from both parties that should the court find proof evident or presumption great, that he's entitled to an Arthur hearing. It's actually scheduled for Thursday morning in front of Judge Duffy, the Arthur
okay,
hearing.
so
Your
they
Honor.
already have that hearing
Yes,
scheduled?
and we would ask that this matter be allowed to proceed to that hearing. Our office is contact with the victim's mother, who wishes to address Judge Duffy to voice her concerns as well, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. King, did you heard all of that? The state attorney has had a conversation with your attorney, who cannot be here today. And they've asked me to waive reading of the charges, so at this time, I'll let you know that I have found probable cause, and I am going to make a further preliminary finding of proof evident presumption great. You'll be held no bond on these two charges, and that's pending Arthur hearing before your division judge, which I'm told that hearing is already set for Thursday.
That is correct, Your Honor. Just in two other quick matters, we would obviously ask for an order of no victim contact with HK. And lastly, just so this is really more for Mr. King's benefit, so he's aware, I spoke with his attorney. His attorney has been in contact with general counsel at BSO and is working on making sure that he gets the proper medication that he needs.
All right? All right, so did you hear all of that, sir?
Yes, I have a question, Your Honor.
Okay?
Now, you said that I couldn't get no bond, so is it possible that could be changed?
Not at this time, sir. And so what I'm saying is, your attorney has filed a motion to have a bond hearing that is scheduled before your division judge on Thursday of this week. So as of this time, you have no bond, but your attorney is working on that, okay?
Okay.
And also, sir, that you are to have no contact with the alleged victim whose initials are HK. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes.
okay.
One other question. Do I have to be locked up 24 hours a day?
Sir, I don't know anything about that. I don't know under what conditions you are housed at the jail.
Well, I'm presenting that to you now,
Sir,
24 hours.
sir, you need to speak with the jail about that. I don't know why that is, okay?
Yeah.
All right. We have the Spanish
I
interpreter.
can, and Your Honor, since Mr. I'll relay to Mr. Padowitz what his
Okay.
question to the court.
All right. All right. We have the Spanish interpreter here, and who needed the Spanish interpreter? Who?
No problem. Naranjo. Page 6. Naranjo.
All right. All right. Jose Naranjo
José Naranjo
is before the court this afternoon.
está ante el tribunal esta tarde.
This is for an ad charge,
Esto por un cargo agregado,
charge number 5,
el quinto cargo
from a not in custody capias.
de una orden de arresto de no haber sido detenido.
The charge is felony theft,
Eh,
petty theft.
Es hurto menor, pero acusado como delito mayor.
And this is an incident that occurred September 1st of this year
Y esto es de un incidente que ocurrió el 1 de septiembre de este año
at Kohl's Department Store.
en el departamento Store Kohl's.
All right, I find probable cause,
Dictamino que existe motivo fundado
and Mr. Naranjo has a $750 bond on this charge.
y el señor Naranjo tiene una fianza de $750 por este cargo.
And also I'm ordering no return to Kohl's.
Y también estoy ordenando que no regrese a Kohl's.
All right. All right, sir.
Bueno, señor.
Is there anyone else who needs a Spanish interpreter?
¿Alguien más que requiere servicio de intérprete en español?
Yes, Judge, and me,
Okay.
Mr. David Pabon on page 6, who was the gentleman before Mr. Naranjo on the docket.
All right, David Joel Pabon.
David Joel Pavón.
Mr. Pabon, you're before the court for an ad charge as well.
Señor Pavón está ante el tribunal por un cargo agregado.
This is now charge number 7.
Este ahora es el cargo número 7.
The charge is battery, second or subsequent offense.
El cargo es lesiones, segundo o tercer consecutivo delito.
And this is from a not in custody capias.
Y esto es una orden de arresto de no haber sido detenido.
¿Cómo que me repita? No lo entendí.
What, can you repeat? I didn't understand.
This is an incident from August of this year,
Es-
2019.
Es ocurrido en agosto de este año. Un incidente que ocurrió en agosto de este año.
Sí, pero yo cerré todos mis casos, están cerrados. Yo cogí tiempo en la cárcel. Yo
Yeah.
creo que tiene una confusión.
Yeah, but I closed all my cases. I took time served in jail. I think there's a confusion.
I don't believe that's correct.
No creo que eso sea correcto.
Mr. Pavon was before the court recently.
Yo tenía dos casos de battery on officer y yo cogí tiempo. Yo estoy haciendo tiempo en la cárcel.
I had two cases of battery on a Leo, and I resolved them, and I'm doing time in jail.
Is he in Judge Port's division?
No, Judge, I know he was, that I don't know, but specifically, I know he did resolve his cases. He was sentenced, I believe his expected release date's gonna be April 2020 on the 17th. But I saw it was for other offenses. I was trying to explain that to Mr. Pavon.
Right.
Su señoría, no sé si está con el juez Porth, pero el señor Pavón sí resolvió sus casos y las condenas iban a concluir el 17 de agosto del 2020, lo que yo había leído que eran otros delitos. Y es lo que le estaba tratando de explicar al señor Pavón.
All right, State,
Fiscalía,
do you have something to say?
¿tiene algo que decir?
This,
Él estaba comenzando la condena ahora, pero este es un cargo que se agregó.
Well, this says charge number 7, so has he resolved?
1 through
or
6 have all
1
been
through 6
resolved.
have been resolved?
Yeah.
O sea que los cargos 1 a 6 fueron resueltos. Este es el cargo número 7.
All right,
His
so,
other cases were not in front of Judge
Me
Porter.
gustaría saber de qué me está acusando porque él dice que como que tuve una pelea o algo, pero ¿a quién? ¿A qué persona? ¿Y dónde fue? Quiero saber.
I would like to know what I'm being accused of. They said it was a fight, but I'd like to know where and with whom.
From August of this year,
De agosto de este año,
on somewhere on the highway.
I'm sorry.
Somewhere on the highway, I believe on I-95.
it's a law enforcement, a trooper Lesofa.
Ese
Policía,
caso me dio la
un
jueza. En
Sir,
ese caso
sir,
la jueza
Señor,
me dio
señor,
el
señor,
video.
You've got to stop talking.
Tiene que dejar de hablar.
You have to wait your turn.
Tiene que esperar su turno.
All right, and so it says that he was throwing debris from the right shoulder and threw it at her patrol car.
Dice que estaba tirando cosas del costado derecho del camino y lo tiró hacia la patrullera el vehículo patrullero del policía.
And he kept saying that he was on his way to fly to Puerto Rico to see his mother
Y continuó diciendo que él estaba en camino a tomar un vuelo a ir a ver a su madre en Puerto Rico,
because he has lots of enemies.
porque él tiene muchos enemigos.
And there was an indication that he was to be Baker acted,
Y hubo indicios que él tenía que caer bajo una acción de Baker.
which is why I asked if he had cases in front of.
Por eso es que yo pregunté si él tenía casos ante el juez Porth.
Judge,
Señora jueza,
I only have a document that indicates an ad charge. It doesn't have the probable cause. I know the court just read it, and I know the court stated some things out loud about there was debris on the car. The court, I didn't actually hear a battery, though.
I didn't read the whole
señora
thing.
jueza, yo sé que
So,
yo-
all right, so
yo-
we
I
found
have time,
probable
sir.
cause.
Just, Your Honor, if I can interpret.
Yes.
Yo sé que su señoría, tenemos aquí un cargo agregado, pero solamente tenemos un documento que dice que se agregó un cargo. No tenemos ningún atestado policial. Sé que su señoría lo leyó y declaró que había un incidente en el cual se arrojó algún tipo de desecho hacia la patrullera, pero no veo por ningún lugar que diga que haya habido lesiones.
Just for your information,
Para su información,
the battery occurred at the hospital that
Oh.
he kicked Mrs. Dutch, who is the admitting nurse.
que el cargo de lesiones, para su información, ocurrió en el hospital, que le dio una patada a la señora Dutch, que era la enfermera administrativa de recepción.
All right, all right,
Por eso me dieron tiempo servido.
But they gave me time served.
all right. I am going to impose a $5,000 bond.
Voy a imponer una fianza de $5,000.
All right. Does anyone else needs a Spanish interpreter?
¿Alguien más requiere el intérprete en español?
No one else at Maine, Judge.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. ma'am. Have a good afternoon.
All right. I have on page 10 a Gary Helvey. He has private counsel.
Before Gary Helvey. And before that.
Is he in the room? No?
He is, he's approaching.
Okay.
Your private attorney.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Feingold.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Helvey is before the court on one charge of aggravated battery in a person 65 years or older, and I do find probable cause.
I don't have the PC, so I have to defer to the court.
Oh, okay.
I'm printing out a copy of the warrant right now. Your Honor.
Did you want to address a bond?
Yeah, Judge.
I can tell you, well, you're gonna look at it, but everything was caught on video. The officer reviewed the video at the bar, and it is alleged that he escorted the victim outside. It was not observed on video that the victim swung or punched, but that your client punched him, he fell back, hit his head, and that he's got serious brain injuries.
I understand. Judge, my client has no priors, never been in trouble before. He's 55. This was I think a one-punch fight outside of a bar, allegedly. He's lived in Broward for over 30 years. He's lived at the same address for over 10 years. He takes care of his wife, who is ill, has a number of ailments, and he's the sole provider. He runs a business. He has employees. So we're just asking for a reasonable bond and reasonable conditions, Judge. He's not a flight risk. Like I said, he's lived here for 30 years. His only family are his parents. They live in North Florida. So, again, we're just asking for a reasonable bond, 55 and no priors whatsoever.
And I understand that, and I know that you haven't looked at the probable cause affidavit, but just so to let you know that the alleged victim has undergone 3 separate CAT scans. Each CAT scan revealed that the condition is progressively getting worse, and the doctor said that the alleged victim sustained a brain hemorrhage. The excess blood around his brain is causing increased pressure in his head, resulting in weakness on one side of his body, difficulty speaking, and temporary memory loss. All right, state?
Your Honor, I'm going to be requesting a $35,000 bond, no victim contact, no return. And it's based not only on the alleged facts from the affidavit that you read off, Your Honor, but also noting the strength of the evidence. This was captured on video. There, according to the detective, there was no provocation from the 70-year-old victim. There was no reason for this violent act. And obviously, because of the injuries suffered by the victim, and noting that he was also identified by a witness, the owner of the bar, with 100% certainty, stating that he has known both the victim and Mr. Helvey since 2015.
And does Mr. Helvey have any priors?
No.
All right. So at this time, I am going to enter a $10,000 bond and no victim contact, obviously. All right,
Thank you, Your Honor.
okay. Mr. Grant, what docket is your case?
Good afternoon, Judge. I'm here on Ayana Danielle.
It says no paperwork on.
Oh, because I was gonna be like, I don't see
Yeah,
it.
what we did, Your Honor, though, and
Where's the clerk? Just give it to the clerk.
I have to compliment our in-court staff from confinement status. She made sure to get a copy of the report from the jail.
Okay,
She's already called to the jail to have Ms. Daniel pulled. The only thing we'll need is the clerk, we just need findings to be created. Because she was, Ms. Daniel was arrested around midnight last night. She was booked in around 4 in the morning. I know, Mr. Grant advised me that the alleged victim is present and just didn't want them to have to wait till tomorrow morning.
okay. All right, then give me a moment. Let
No
me just
problem.
look at this. All right. All right, so the charge that is, where's Miss Daniel? Oh,
I'm
are
sorry.
we waiting for her? Do we have Ayana Danielle? Did we just only ask recently for her to be brought in, Mr. Linder? Do you know? Oh, when did we ask her? Where?
At the main jail.
Okay. All right, Mr. Romero?
Yes, Judge,
Do
sorry.
we, do we have Ayana Danielle?
She's right here.
All right,
Here's your private attorney.
all right. Mr. Grant, you've had an opportunity to review the probable cause affidavit?
Yes, Judge, I did review the probable cause affidavit, and I did indicate to counsel that would stipulate that the alleged victim is over 65.
All right, so,
Just so the testimony isn't necessary.
okay. All right, so Ms. Daniel is before the court on one charge of battery on a person 65 years of age or older, and I find probable cause. Is Ms. Daniel ever been in trouble before?
I haven't seen any, and I don't know, Mr. Grant,
No, she's never been in trouble before.
oh, no, I was gonna say, I don't know if, doesn't have if Mr. St. Clair wanted to,
Yeah.
if there's anything.
Did you want to tell the court about your fear, if you fear your life?
No, please, Judge.
All right, Mr. St. Clair, let me tell you, I have to advise you, I guess, I'm assuming that Mr. Grant is representing Ms. Daniel, correct? All right, and so, sir, the state of Florida represents your interests, but you don't have a private attorney. And so, anything that you say here, as well as Ms. Daniel, is being recorded and can be used against you at a later time. That's as much, that I can say to you at this time, okay? All right, so knowing that, do you still wish to speak?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
And sir, if you wish to speak, then I am going to put you under oath. So I'm gonna ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Okay, and then you can put your hand down and please state your name for the record.
My name is Alpha Daniel.
Alpha Daniel?
Alva.
Alva,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. So who is Alpha, how's the St. Clair?
That's my middle name.
Okay, so you're Alva Sinclair
Sinclair
Daniel?
Daniel, yes.
All right, sir. All right, what do you wish to say?
Your Honor, I would like her to get bonded out. It's my wife. We've been together for over 11, 12 years, and we have 2 daughters. And I somewhat blame myself.
Don't tell
for-
me anything about the case, just, has there ever been any violence between the both of you?
Never, Your Honor, never.
Are you afraid of Miss Daniel?
No, please, Your Honor.
And,
No, I don't.
has there been any injury before?
No, please, Your Honor, none.
All right. And do you wish to have contact with Miss Daniel?
Yes, please, Your Honor, I will definitely love to.
And, do you believe that you said there are 2 children in the home?
Pardon me?
Did you say that there are 2 children in the
Yes, please,
home?
our 2 daughters, yes.
How old are they?
One is 15, the other one is 10.
And has there been any indication of fear of Miss Daniel?
No, please, Your Honor, none at all. She loves the children just as I do.
All right, okay. All right, Mr. Grant?
Judge, I'll be requesting that the court release my client in her own recognizance.
Okay. State?
Your Honor, as far as bond, I have no comment as far as bond. I spoke with Mr. Grant, and I had an idea of what Mr. Daniel was going to be advising the court of. That being said, I would be asking for a no contact order, and I certainly understand that he has advised the court that he wants contact. I think there should be a cooling off period, noting that this was witnessed by one of the couple's children. That is also a cause for concern, not just for his safety, but to ensure that there's no other violence in the home in front of the children. Noting that she, according to the statement, Ms. Daniel admitted to the battery.
All right, well, based on the allegations that is before me, honestly, I'm not sure what happened here. I know that there was injury and there's allegation that she dug her finger in him and that's why he was bleeding. That's all I have, and she has no priors, so I will, I'll release her, I'll ROR her, because there was no knife. He believed that it was a knife, but then there was no knife. I'll ROR Miss Daniel, and I've asked Mr. Daniel all the relevant questions, and he indicates that he's not afraid of her, that there's been no prior violence. And so at this time, I will not, he wants to have contact, so I will not impose the no contact at this time. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Saida Superville,
Judge, have been informed she bonded.
all right?
Miss Nungister?
Known as Tia Nongister.
She's here, ma'am. Judge.
And ma'am, you are before the court. Charge 1 is possession of cannabis 20 grams or less. Number 2 is a violation of felony probation with a no bond hold. And I find probable cause. You will see your division judge on the VOP tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. And you have a $100 bond on 1. Okay? Danielle Richardson. All right, Ms. Richardson is before the court on 1 charge of grand theft. Charge number 2 is fraud, using or possessing ID of another person without consent. And I find probable cause. All right, does, Ms. Richardson have any priors?
The officer said no, ma'am.
Nancy, do you have anything? The only thing I see as far as Broward is she was arrested December of last year on an out-of-county hold on a failure to appear in a traffic matter out of Brevard County.
Okay. All right, what is the recommendation from the state?
Your Honor, I'm not seeking any type of modification.
All right. All right, Ms. Richardson, you have a total bond of $2,000, $1,000 on each charge, okay?
Judge, I had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Richardson this morning. Unfortunately, at this time, a $2,000 bond is not going to be able to be posted by her nor any family member on her behalf. She indicated she does have a valid address. Due to the fact that she has no criminal history other than I hear a traffic criminal violation, I'm going to ask that the court forego on bond and place her on pretrial release.
Nancy,
May I speak, Your Honor?
Well, the allegations that I have is that Ms. Richardson attempted to gain $934.30, 34 cents. Using another person whose name is Daniel Bush, using her information. Yes. She have priors out of where?
Pennsylvania,
Oh.
2017.
Okay,
Identity theft, she was convicted on the charge.
so she has
She has
ID
several
theft
other
from
misdemeanors.
Pennsylvania.
Yes, she was convicted on identity theft in 2017 out of Pennsylvania. She had also a DUI conviction out of Pennsylvania in 2017. Possession of controlled substance. 2017, 2015 theft, and several other misdemeanor theft priors, Your Honor, out of Pennsylvania. Misdemeanor.
All right, ma'am, at this time, charge number 2, I am going to increase your bond to $5,000. You have a $1,000 bond on one. You have several priors of fraud. And to tell me that the law enforcement said you didn't have any priors, I wasn't really asking you, but for you to repeat that means that you're also being dishonest.
No, ma'am.
All
he
right,
said-
ma'am, I'm done. Bonnie Salomon. Ms. Solomon is before the court on one charge of touch or strike battery. Number 2 is a criminal mischief, over $1,000. I find probable cause. And Ms. Solomon, I've been informed that your bond has been posted. Okay, Tatum Tapler,
Your Honor, just request no contact.
no contact, no victim contact, ma'am, until that order is lifted by the court. No phone calls, no text messages, no social media, no third-party contact. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. I have two questions, if I may.
Okay,
Question one is, I have belongings, there because that's where I was living. Am I allowed to get those things if I take someone with me?
I'll allow you one time with law enforcement to go and
Okay.
get your stuff. So you
Okay,
you must contact law enforcement. You cannot go there with your friend or by yourself. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And my second question was, I thought I was informed that it was down to only one charge, that the battery had been dropped.
Well,
Your Honor, what she's probably, I'm sorry.
no, I know, that's okay. I know what you're talking about. This is, the no charge is as to the bond. Like, is there a bond that's attached to it? So when the NC means no charge next to the touch or strike battery, it means that a bond is not required. So I could impose it, but I'm not imposing one. So all
Okay,
you have is a bond on the criminal mischief charge.
Okay,
Okay?
All right.
All right. All right, Tatum Tapler. All right, Ms. Tapler is before the court on charge 1, possession of cocaine. Number 2 is a municipal ordinance violation. 3 and 4 are felony cases, and those were issued by Judge McCarthy with no bond holds because you did not show up for arraignment. So you get to see Judge McCarthy tomorrow. I find probable cause, and you have $1,000 bond on one, okay?
Okay.
All right, Chemo Smith. All right, Mr. Smith is before the court on one charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. Number 2 is resisting officer without violence, and I find probable cause.
Judge, I'm gonna be, and after speaking with Mr. Smith, I'm gonna be asking or requesting the court release Mr. Smith on ROR. My understanding, he has only one prior contact with the criminal justice system, which was dismissed. So he has a clean record. He's 23 years old. He just got a job 2 months ago working at a company called King's Intelligence as a security guard. He lives with his mother. Judge, that's why I'm asking if the court would consider releasing him straight ROR, or if not, I'm gonna be contacting his mom so she can post his bond.
The interesting thing with that information is that the probable cause, that when the law enforcement went to this warehouse, Mr. Smith informed law enforcement that he was a security guard. However, he was not dressed in a security guard uniform. He was not able to produce any ID that he was a security guard, nothing to that nature. And there was a bag that was found that he was inside with marijuana grinders, marijuana residue, a black scale, clear bags. So I don't think the security guard information is carrying any weight with me at this time. All right, does he have any priors?
It's showing, one moment, Judge. Mr. Romero, he didn't tell you about the theft in 2016? Because I did see the battery that was dropped, but now I'm showing a theft in 2016.
All right, Mr. Smith, you have a $100 bond on charge 1. I am going to impose a $500 bond on 2. I'm gonna, no return to that location. Well, I don't know if you're working there, so I'll just leave the $100 bond and the $500 bond on 2. Kenneth Martin.
Mr. Martin's approaching, Judge.
Mr. Martin, you're before the court on a KPS on a municipal ordinance violation matter. You did not show up for arraignment on April 22nd of this year. So a KPS was issued with a $250 bond. The charge there is possession of controlled substance. So I don't know what you want to do, and I don't know if you have any prior drug charges in your past, but you can post your $250 bond, or you have court on the 17th with your division judge. Maybe you'll be able to better resolve your case there.
Yeah, but I got a new charge too. Can I handle that today?
I don't know anything about the new charge. All I have before me is the KPS. So with that, I am going to leave the $250 bond in place, and you see your division judge on October 17th, okay?
All right.
All right, Jonathan Holland.
Holland? You know what? He's approaching, Judge. He's here, main judge.
All right, Mr. Holland is before the court on one charge of false ID given to law enforcement. Number 2 is driving while license suspended. Number 3, disobeying a stop sign. That's a traffic infraction. That's not for magistrate. Number 4 is a violation of misdemeanor probation. And that Judge Carpenter Toy, signed the warrant with a no bond hold. So you'll get to see Judge Carpenter Toy tomorrow at 9 a.m. I find probable cause, and you have a $100 bond on charge number 2.
Good luck, sir.
All right. Carrieg Stewart.
Mr. Stewart, come on up, please.
Mr. Stewart is before the court. Charge 1 is DUI, alcohol, or drugs. And number 2 is a traffic infraction. Well, it's an open container. I find probable cause.
Judge, my understanding is Mr. Stewart has a relatively clean record. My understanding he may have had one prior contact on a misdemeanor municipal ordinance case. He's 47 years old. He's working. He works for a company called MWI Court, where he's been working at for the past 4 years. He lives in North Lauderdale with his wife and 2 children. Judge, considering he has very strong ties to the community, he will be coming back. That's why I'm requesting an ROR on Mr. Stewart's behalf.
So, yeah, he has one, the battery, right? Do you see anything other than that? From when? Oh, from when? No, there's no breaking and entering out of Michigan, Your Honor, and local battery from '06.
All right. Great. He has a $500 bond. Okay. Gerard St. Jean.
Mr. St. Jean is approaching, and he's gonna, he declined service to public defender. He's gonna hire a dumbfounded attorney.
All right, Mr. St. Jean, you understand that you are entitled to an attorney for this hearing?
Yes, I do.
And are you refusing the services of the public defender's office?
No, I thought I was gonna go through with that, the DUI case, I can get a lawyer for that.
Right,
That's
so,
okay.
so I'm asking you, as we're standing here in this hearing right now,
Yes.
are you
Yes.
refusing the services of the public defender's office?
I will get it, so I will accept it.
I don't know what that, you will accept what?
The public defenders, right?
All right, so we'll recall the case then.
Yes.
Robert Walker,
No problem.
all right, Mr. Walker, is before the court for an ad charge. And this charge is burglary of a structure with use of a vehicle as an instrument, and I find probable cause.
Ma'am, can you give me a bond on that? What are the probable cause facts? What are they saying I did? Because I just got shit for Georgia. They just putting all these charges on me, and they ain't got no paperwork showing nothing.
Well,
It's like the third.
I am not going to read this entire probable cause affidavit, but I'll tell you that this incident is from December of last year. And there is allegations that the Rent-A-Center is where 2 large screen TVs and a Sony stereo system was stolen, right?
All right, man.
All right, he's in custody and other charges?
He is, Your Honor, and 2 of his, he has 2 identical charges to this, the one before the court. He was set on each of those to $5,000 bond, so I'm just asking for the same bond on this charge. And on his 2 other cases, and I imagine on this case as well, he's scheduled to go before Judge Dennis Bailey for arraignment tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Walker, you have a $5,000 bond on this charge. And
Thank you, Your Honor.
okay.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too, Alfonso. Mr. St. Jean, okay? So Mr. St. Jean is before the court on one charge of DUI, alcohol, or drugs, and 2 and 3 are traffic infractions not for magistrate, and I find probable cause.
Judge, Mr. St. Jean changed his mind. He's going to be applying with the public defender's office, but he did also advise me that he did contact his bondsman earlier today, and he will be bonding out. Is there any way we can check with confinement status to see if it already went through?
Okay. All right, it's not showing as posted. He does have a $500 bond, okay? Alfonso Jackson.
Mr. Jackson is approaching, Judge.
All right, Mr. Jackson, you are before the court. Charge 1 is possession of cocaine, and number 2 is a municipal ordinance violation for being in a park after hours. I find probable cause.
Judge, it's being Mr. Jackson, we're going to be requesting the court consider a straight ROR on Mr. Jackson's behalf. Now, my understanding, he's 59 years old, been living in our community for 10 years. He is a registered voter here in Broward County. He lives locally here in Coconut Creek with his sister and nephew. He is working. He's been working with Trojan Labor for the past 5 years. He will be coming back to court. Therefore, he's asking the court if the court will consider releasing him on straight ROR. If the court's not inclined to do that, then leave the standard bond in place, Judge.
All right, I'll leave the standard bond in place. All right, Calvin George. All right, Mr. George is before the court. Charge 1 is defrauding innkeeper under $300. Number 2 is a violation of parole. Why do we have 2 parole violation? I just noticed that. 1 is a warrant. Ah, okay. So he does have 2 parole violations that are 2 and 3, and those with a no bond hold. So he has to appear before the parole board, and he has a $25 bond on that. Daniel Rodriguez.
He's here, man.
Mr. Rodriguez is before the court, driving while license suspended, 3rd or subsequent offense. Number 2 is a misdemeanor capias. That was issued August 1st of this year, and there that charge is trespassing. I find probable cause.
Judge, in speaking Mr. Rodriguez, we're going to be requesting that the court will consider releasing him under supervision of pretrial release. Now, he's been here his whole entire life. He's 37 years old. He was self-employed as a handyman. He averages about $300 a week on a good week. He's living locally here in Hollywood. He's residing at a halfway house located in Hollywood for the past 3 months, where he's paying approximately $165 a week to stay there. Judge right now financially can't afford to post a bond, and that's why he's asking for the court to consider releasing him under supervision.
All right, I'll ROR Mr. Rodriguez to pretrial supervision. Mr. Rodriguez, you need to make sure that you show up at the pretrial office tomorrow to sign up.
Gotcha.
If you don't sign up, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that,
Gotcha.
sir?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you, bro.
All right, Chelsea Kendrick.
Mr. Kendrick, come on up, please.
His bond has been posted.
Oh, beautiful. with your bond request.
All right, Mr. Kendrick, you're before the court. Charge 1 is possession of cocaine. Number 2 is attaching a registration license plate not assigned. Number 3, driving while license suspended. Third or subsequent offense. I find probable cause, and I've been advised by confinement that your bond has been posted. Okay? Frederick Burgess. All right.
He's approaching, Judge.
All right, Mr. Burgess is before the court. Charge 1 is possession of MDMA. Number 2 is trespassing on occupied structure or conveyance. I find probable cause, and you too, your bond has been posted. Okay. Brent Fetterman.
Judge, if we could put him on recall?
All right. Sherrod Huntley Murphy.
Mr. Huntley, come on up. He's approaching.
All right, Mr. Murphy is before the court on 1 charge of burglary, unoccupied conveyance, unarmed, and I find probable cause.
Judge, we're asking if the court would consider releasing Mr. Huntley Murphy ROR. He's been living here almost his whole life. He's 31 years old. He advised me he's working at Pace Setters. He resides in Deerfield Beach with his grandmother. He will be coming back to court, Judge, but he's asking if the court would consider releasing him ROR.
Mr. Huntley Murphy's out on a $1,000 bond from late May for a grand theft auto that is pending. Put out a resisting without violence and trespass June of this year. Assault 2016, burglary of a dwelling with battery in 2013.
All right, Mr. Huntley Murphy will have a $2,500 bond. Keegan St. Clair.
Judge, what was the bond amount that the court? What was the bond amount, Judge?
$2,500, and if he prefers, I can revoke his bond on the other case that he's out on bond on, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, Keegan St. Clair.
Mr. St. Clair?
Mr. St. Clair is before the court on 1 charge of grand theft auto. Number 2 is possession of cocaine. Number 3 is tampering with or fabricating physical evidence. Number 4 is possession of cannabis 20 grams or less. And I find probable cause.
Judge, nothing to add at this time.
All right, the standard bonds will remain.
I'll call him out.
All right. Are you ready to address Mr. Fetterman, or should we move to the hearing?
Hearing, Dr.
All right, so Nelson DaCosta.
Conti, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Mr. DaCosta was arrested October 11th, and so he's before the court today for a second look at his bond status.
And Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the court not take any action. Mr. DaCosta was arraigned before Judge Scheer this morning. He's being held $3,500 bond on each count. He was extradited to Broward out of state on these charges.
All right, so we'll take no action on this request for release today, okay? All right, Diamond Butler.
Conti again?
All right,
Oh, no Broward, John.
North Broward, okay.
Oh, yeah, you are correct, North Broward.
All right, Diamond Butler was arrested September 12th, and so Ms. Butler,
It's a 30-day motion, Your Honor. The state has not filed the information. At this time, Ms. Butler is entitled to an ROR on these charges.
all right, Ms. Butler, I am going to sign the order granting your release today. It doesn't mean that the state cannot file the charges after today, it just means that you cannot be held in custody while that's pending. These are felony charges that you're facing. The state has up to 175 days to file the information. So it is going to be on you to make sure that you check with your attorney if you have one, or to check with the clerk's office, or check with your mail to see if you have to come back to court. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Lucille Bones.
I believe she posted bond.
Bones
All
bond.
right, Your Honor.
Or maybe not. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I thought she did.
All right.
Oh.
Well, do you want to check? It's not her?
No. No, she did not post.
All right, so Ms. Bones, you're before the court for a second look at your bond status. You were arrested on October 10th. She has one felony charge. How much bond does she have?
It's a $1,000 bond for uttering a forged instrument.
Okay,
Ms. Bones' criminal history includes 2003 strong-arm robbery and dealing in stolen property, 15 years in a day state prison as a habitual offender and PRR offender, 03 possession of cocaine, 5-year state prison, theft 03, possession of cocaine 01, another possession of cocaine in 01, year in a day state prison, possession of cocaine 98, 2 years, grand theft auto 98, 2-year state prison, habitual offender, delivery of cocaine 98, strong-arm robbery 95. Sorry, in 03, she also had another strong-arm robbery where she was sentenced to 15 years in a day state prison, habitual offender.
all right, she has a $1,000 bond at this time?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Bones, that bond is going to remain in place, okay? All right, Pedro Jimenez,
Conti, Your Honor.
are you sure? All right, so Mr. Jimenez was arrested October 9th. The charge is grand theft. How much bond does he have?
Well, Your Honor, you may recall, came in on an arrest warrant that was $50,000 at first. Your Honor, reduced it to $20,000. The reason that the bond was set so high on the original warrant from Judge Casey and that you kept it high, it's ongoing thefts. I believe at Walmart, he has.
I remember this case. I'll deny the ROR. I had already reduced the bond, okay?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way you could reduce the bond a little bit? My mom's on disability, she's sick, and I take care of her. I just want to go to work, and I do not, I mean, when I went into the, when I
All
went
right,
to the
no,
store.
I'm not gonna ask you to talk about the case. I am gonna deny that. If you want to have an evidentiary bond hearing, you need to speak with your attorney on that, okay? Andres Serrano.
Here, our main judge.
All right. And Mr. Serrano was arrested on October 11th, and he also has one felony charge. How much bond does he have?
1,000.
Okay, and what kind of priors does Mr.
I'm pulling that up. I don't know if Mr. Romero wanted to present any.
Yes, Judge. Right now, unfortunately, he's unemployed and he can't get in touch with anyone posting monetary bond. He lives in Hollywood with his cousin. His cousin is helping him out while he gets on his feet. Now, Mr. Lunder will tell you he does have prior contact with the criminal justice system, but I believe it's been several years clean now. He tells me he will be coming back to court. He wants an opportunity to fight this from the outside, Judge. So he's asking if the court would consider releasing him under supervision.
See, Judge?
I don't.
All right, this was allegedly twice in the same evening he went to a 7-Eleven trying to pass fraudulent $100 bills. Captured on surveillance. 2016, out of Connecticut, violation for protection order. 2013, larceny, failure to appear, out of the state of New York. Theft, 07. Disorderly conduct, 07. Criminal possession of controlled substance, 06. He has the day before his arrest, a $2,000 warrant for reckless driving was issued out of Dade County. And he has a warrant from December 29th, 2017, out of the state of Pennsylvania for shoplifting.
Mr. Serrano has a $1,000 bond. I am going to leave that in place at this time. Okay? All right. When we're ready with Mr. Fetterman, I think he's the only person that's left to be addressed.
He's here.
All right, Mr. Fetterman is before the court. Charge 1 is grand theft auto. Number 2 is trespassing, unoccupied structure or conveyance. I find probable cause.
Judge, we're going to be asking if the court can consider releasing on Mr. Fetterman under pretrial release. He's 27, been here 2.5 years. He is working, he advised me he works for a company called Sunrise Getaway, where he sells vacation packages. He lives in Davie. He's been living at a halfway house called Time for Change for the past 3 months, in which he pays about $160 a week. And he's asking to be released on pretrial release, Judge.
Any history on Mr. Fetterman?
I don't know if Mr. Romero can advise the victim on this case. Is he at that sober house also?
Well,
The only reason I'm asking, Your Honor.
that was going to be another question of mine, because it says that the car belonged to his roommate. So that's what the allegations are. So I can jump to my next question, which is going to be, what is the name of this place that he lives at? Does he have a contact number for someone there? And if I can get in touch with them, I'd like to hear what they have to say. Otherwise, I'm going to leave the monetary bond in place.
Judge, he advised me that the name of the program is Time for Change. The name of the owner of the program, his name is Cody Crockett. Unfortunately, he does not have the phone number of the program, Judge.
One moment. Let me see if I can find it. What city is it in?
Mr. Romero, what city is Time for Change in?
Davie is what Mr.
No, Fort Lauderdale. It's Davie
Got it.
Boulevard.
I've got a number.
But I'm at the.
Judge.
I'm judge. I just got moved to the Broward House a couple weeks ago.
So are you at Time for Change,
My
or
stuff
are you,
there, and
at?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We call it Broward House, but it's Time for a Change. Cody Crockett owns it.
I have a number, Your Honor.
Okay.
Hi, this is Cody Crockett from Time for Change Recovery House. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Sorry, mailbox is.
All right. Well, that's not gonna help us.
Judge, another contact person you advised me is a gentleman by Henry.
Hello, is this Mr. Crockett?
Hello?
Hello, this is Judge, hello?
Hello? I can hear you.
All right, you can? This is Judge,
Yes.
this is Judge Jackie Powell. I'm calling from Broward County Courthouse. I am the first appearance judge. And I want to let you know that, I should let you know that I have you on speaker phone and we are in open court. I have Mr. Brent Fetterman before me this afternoon. And I am calling to determine the status of his living conditions at the Time for Change.
Oh, you guys are right across the street from my restaurant. That's the rep. Well, given his current joyride that I heard he just took, I'm not so sure we want that type of kid back. I think he needs further help than we can offer him.
Okay.
It's under my assumption because the other party just got this car back that there was, some paraphernalia in there. And I think if anything, he needs to be mandated to some treatment or something before back to the streets.
All right, well,
Not
this
necessarily
is,
bail, but
yeah. Well, this is first appearance, and so I'm not going to do that. I'm just trying to determine release conditions at this time. And he had indicated that he was coming back here, but now we know that he's not coming back to Time for Change. So thank you very much, and we'll have to make some other decisions, okay?
all right, no problem, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Bye. Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right, I believe that's it for the afternoon. Thank you, everyone.